All right, we've got the food expert over here, Chef Matt from the Capital Grille, and the wine expert, Vinny Vento, is here as well. These guys were here last week, and we have oysters from the Capital Grille, and we're going to talk about a wine to go with the oysters. So what do you have over here, Matt?
Well, seeing with the holiday season and in Christmas time, people love shrimp, people love oysters, so today we're going to do a 101 on shucking oysters and how to pair them with a beautiful wine for the holidays.
Shucking oysters.
Shucking oysters.
There's speed involved in this in some walks of life, but it can be dangerous too.
Yeah, it can be definitely dangerous. The key is that it's more of an art than a forceful entry. So you're going to basically take your time, and today we're going to feature some actual local Rhode Island oysters from Bristol Harbor, from Windfall Shellfish. It's called the Poppasquash Point.
Yeah,
they're grown right on Poppasquash Point over by Rhode Island Colt State Park.
Yeah, sure. I've been by there many times in the boat. Okay, and what's going on over here, Vinny?
Well, thinking that we're in the ocean state and we're featuring local seafood, we're going to do a wine that pairs beautifully with all types of different seafoods, a French wine from the Sancerre region.
Okay, all right. And why that kind of wine as opposed to like a red wine? Or what did you have here last week that was a...
We had a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir, and we were doing salmon, which sort of lends itself to having a red or a white with it. Oysters, really, you're not going to be drinking red wine with that, and there's good reasons why.
All right, so you'll tell us those reasons. We'll start shucking the oysters as well, and you can find the recipe and the ingredients for these recipes, and also more info about this wine on our website, foxprovidence.com.
This is just like my dream come true in here. Two great men, Capital Grille, wine, we've got oysters. And you've brought in a couple of different flavorings to put in there too, right, Chef Matt?
That's correct.
All right, and we're going to be cooking, or not really cooking, but preparing it.
Exactly, shucking oysters, and we're serving them with two different sauces. We have our cocktail sauce, which is traditional, as well as a mignonette, which is a French sauce that's used to take away some of the brininess of the oysters.
All right, and we did bring some wine, and I heard you, Mr. Vinny, talking about no red when you're having the oysters.
Correct.
Why is that?
Last week we tasted reds and whites with salmon.
Yeah.
With oysters, because of the iodine content in the oyster, it will make red wine taste very metallic and very unpleasant. So here's a fish that just really doesn't pair well with
so we got to do the white. What did you bring in to share with us today?
What we have today is a beautiful French wine from the Loire Valley, which is a river valley that runs east-west across France, central France.
Romantic.
And as the river flows along, it creates all these different little microclimates. At this particular point in the river, it's a great place for growing Sauvignon Blanc.
Great.
And on either side of the river, there are two appellations, Puy-Fumé and Sancerre. So what we're tasting today is a Sancerre. It's 100% Sauvignon Blanc, fermented in stainless steel, so it's nice and fresh and clean.
Fancy.
And it's got a little bit of a minerality that will work terrifically well with.
All right, so why don't we try a sip now, and then we'll try it again with the oysters and give our seal of approval here. I love to hear the backstory of the wine too. It makes you appreciate it even more, Oh, that is very tasty.
Clean,
perfect
fresh.
With that, yes. And the name of it again is?
This is from Sauvignon, which is the name of the producer, and the wine is called Sancerre.
All right, love it. Little French education in the kitchen today, and we're going to get things going with the Capital Grille, making our oysters in just a few minutes. Now back to you.
All right, Sarah has joined me and Matt from the Capital Grille in the kitchen. She has just signed a waiver removing us from any liability if she does in fact lose a finger in this segment. She has her shucking. Is that what is it? The shucking
They
knife?
call it a shucking knife.
Yeah,
Yep,
shucking
knife. Yep, even though there's not really a sharp end on it, it's still considered a knife.
Now, before we have you shuck here, Sarah, Matt, tell me about these oysters, because we love the fact that it's locally grown, and I've driven over this oyster farm a few times in the boat. Hopefully he's not listening, although I know he is.
Yeah, these oysters, like I said, they're called the Poppasquash Point oyster, and oysters get their name from the location of the water they're harvested from, very similar to wines and grapes.
Right.
So it's from the Bristol Harbor, Poppasquash Point area. Windfall Shellfish is the grower, a personal friend of mine. His name's Neil. And what I personally feel differentiates his oyster from other oysters is he takes his product with 3-year growth, which gives you a much more durable shell and a nice deeper cup and more full oyster when you eat it. So you can definitely see a difference between the 2-year and 3-year period. He's one of the few people that actually takes the risk, because there's a greater chance of mortality between the 2-3 years to take a product to that level.
Is the deeper shell going to make our job right now harder?
No, actually,
I'm a little nervous.
To be honest with you, the deeper shell in an older product has a firmer shell, so it's less likely to shatter and break when you're shucking it. So an older product's actually easier to open as opposed to something that's younger and more brittle.
Okay.
All right. Well, my work is done here, Sarah. It's all yours. What is?
All right. You're gonna have to talk me through this.
So the first thing you want to do is you want to obviously fold your towel over the oyster.
Oh, okay.
Briefly, you're left-handed. That's right. Okay. And then you want to find where the lip is, which if you're going to have to turn the oyster this way.
Oh, see, you're setting me up to fail. Come on.
So you're going to find the lip, and you're going to put your oyster knife in. The misconception is it's forceful, like I mentioned, you have to forcefully enter.
Okay.
What it's more of a pop of the wrist, because what you're trying to do is loosen the muscle.
Okay.
So when you get your knife in, you want to kind of slowly wiggle, and it should pop a little bit. All right? Then when you pop the oyster, as you can see, the muscle's connected on the top, so you don't want to stick the knife all the way in, but what you want to do is pop it open like this and just discharge the muscle from the top, as you did there. And then the last part of opening the oyster.
Way too good at
Very good. The last part is just loosen the muscle from the bottom so that when you go to eat the product,
there
you go. It'll pop out.
All right.
We'll try a couple more and then we'll get to the tasting. And one of the reasons why this wine, once again we're pairing with wine, one of the reasons this wine works so well is you're talking about minerality, and oysters are obviously high in iodine, and a Sancerre, which is a really high mineral content wine from where the region it's grown, actually pairs and complements it very well.
So,
do you like oysters?
I do. You know, I just experimented with my first oyster a few months ago because I was afraid of them. But you know, they're growing on me. Is that shell?
Yeah, that's a little bit of shell. Sometimes when you pop the top off, so what you would do is just simply dislodge that, and there you go.
It's kind of stuck on there.
Yeah.
Do another one, because you know, you never know, you might get a pearl and you might not need this job and you just make millions right now.
There it is, done. Pearls aren't worth millions if there was a diamond in there.
We brought two sauces to complement. Cocktail sauce is
Just
traditional.
how much I know about jewelry.
The cocktail sauce is traditional, and a lot of times when you're dealing with European and French oysters, going back to iodine, the waters are very metallic. So there's a mignonette sauce, which is a combination of red vinegar, shallots, and cracked pepper, and that offsets the minerality.
Good.
So not necessarily necessary with a New England oyster, but definitely French.
All right, we've had a shucking lesson now. Are you used to these hours yet? Because for us, let's see, I've been up for almost 7 hours, so this is lunchtime for me.
This is the first thing.
Breakfast for you?
This is the first thing I'm eating today.
Okay,
so let's see if it's a good breakfast.
All right.
I don't really like cocktail sauce. I think
That's
I'm
fine,
gonna
you
pass.
don't even
That's
need
all
to.
right.
These
You're
oysters-
not gonna join me? Are you gonna join me?
Go ahead, yeah.
Come on, I'm doing this by myself.
No, I just didn't want to get in your way.
Come on, dig in.
And you also have your wine to pair with it, which you can try afterwards.
I'm just gonna.
Just swallow it right down. It should be.
Oh, can't do it.
Oh, no.
Can't do it at all.
Maybe you didn't. There we
I'm
go.
stuck.
Maybe you didn't get the muscle all the way. There you are. Now you're good.
All right, now I can do it.
Oops, sorry.
Second time's a charm. There you are. And try it with a little bit of your wine.
That's right. The best thing about this job is you also can drink on the air.
Bon appetit.
Thanks, Sarah.
At 8
Great
o'clock
job,
in the
Matt.
morning.
Yeah, that's right. You can find more about this recipe online at foxprovidence.com. Michelle?